Welcome to Issues of Contemporary Politics with Dr. Brovkin. Today, my dear friends and subscribers, I'd like to talk about what everybody's talking about, the war in the Middle East, the war in Iran. But the specific title of my presentation today is called Who Benefits from the Epic Fury? Now, the question seemed to be a fairly simple one, but in fact, it's not. There are quite a few of nuances in terms of what's going on and who is going to benefit politically, geopolitically most. Now, we're all confronted with a steady stream of news about what's happening in the Middle East. And I'm watching most of the news, as many of those who are interested in politics, the American news, European news, Israeli news, Russian news, Chinese news, and so on. But what I can see is that the rhetoric in the official American news is pretty much a victorious one. Trump is keeps saying we're winning, everything's great, we're getting better all the time, everything according to plan. Hegseth is saying that there's unlimited amount of missiles, that things that we haven't even started, we're going to get more. And then Trump is contradicting himself. On the one hand, that everything is fine and we're winning. On the other hand, we may need to deploy ground troops. Well, if you need to deploy ground troops, that means what you've been doing so far isn't going very well. Rubio made a very interesting remark the other day in his speeches where he said that the United States will not preside over the steady and slow decline of the United States. He said in his historic speech that for 500 years the West had been expanding, and now since 1945 it had been declining or condensing or losing territory, and that has to be reversed. And of course, under the greatest leader of all mankind, President Trump. So the reality, of course, on the ground is quite different. In fact, it is unheard of, unprecedented, and unbelievable. Israel is in flames. 5 billion worth of American radar equipment and all kinds of very expensive equipment in Qatar and in Bahrain and in the Emirates and in various other bases have been destroyed, wiped out. No more. American aircraft carrier is on the run to the Indian Ocean, where it is unreachable for Iranian missiles. Iran turned out to have the kind of weapons that nobody expected that it did. It seems to be that the situation is not as rosy as it had been predicted. So these are the facts. This is not interpretation or fantasy or anything like this. This is something that's going on. And as far as I know, not all of American media is covering it. Some do, though. But let me just step back and approach the matter somewhat from a different perspective. Just bear with me and imagine that just about a couple of months ago, or there is a celebration of a new year. Let it be the Chinese New Year or maybe a Russian New Year, doesn't matter. And in that imaginary celebration of the New Year, just imagine we have 3 generals, the Russian, the Chinese, and the North Korean. And they just celebrate New Year together. And when people celebrate New Year, they just ask themselves, what are your wishes? What would you like to happen? And in that imaginary meeting, I could see a Russian general saying, wouldn't that be nice if the price of oil went to $120 a gallon? Wouldn't that be nice if EU begged us to sell oil to them, and we would say to them, no, we're not going to sell any to you. We will only sell it to our friends. Wouldn't that be nice if Ukraine did not receive any weapons from the United States at all? That just wouldn't be any. And then the North Korea joins the conversation, and North Korean general would say, wouldn't that be nice if all US bases in the Middle East were destroyed? There'd be nothing left. And that the aircraft carriers were just running away in fear for their survival. And then they laugh, and then the Chinese general would say, wouldn't that be nice if nobody wanted to have US bases anymore because they're useless and because they cannot protect and you know, their weaponry it doesn't amount to much. It can be overcome. A famous paper tiger assertion. So this is all imaginary, but the fact, of course, of today is that most of these wishes, if not all, are reality. They have been fulfilled in this operation of epic fury. Oil is prices rising every day. U.S. bases are being destroyed every day. The U.S. assets are blown up every day. Trust and confidence in U.S. defense of the client states is drying fast. And through the Strait of Hormuz, it's only the trips to China and to Iran and to Turkey and to Russia are allowed to pass through. And there is nothing the United States can do about it because if they put any missile, any assets of ships and things to protect the tankers, they would be blown up. It would be even easier in that Strait of Hormuz of 35 miles in width. So that raises the question, were they not thinking through? Did they not know what they're doing? What's the problem? Why did the US and Israel wind up in a situation like this? So again, let's step back and examine how it happened. And it seems to make a lot of sense and a logic that explains their action. And that primarily is based on the original success. Trump's idea, as we all know, is make America great again. And by that, he means to make sure that there are no rivals and there are no obstacles to American power. It worked very well with his predecessors in Iraq when they conquered that country and took over its oil. Later on in 2012, it worked fine in Libya. They just dismembered Libya and they seemed to be enjoying the spoils. In 2014, it worked just beautifully in Ukraine. American installed government with famous or infamous cookies being distributed to the rebels and the coup d'etat, and there was nothing that Putin could do except saving Crimea from takeover. And then a couple of years ago, it was Syria. And then a few months ago, it was Venezuela, and it looked like it worked every time. Every time American power moved, everybody crumbled. In fact, I got a message in one of my commentaries for my videos just a couple of weeks ago when a Polish nationalist wrote, see what's happening, Iran is next, and then you will be next too. By you, he meant Russia, even though I am not in Russia, I'm an American observer. So this is what's been going on, is a kind of a steady progression of successes. And you know, when people get success, as Comrade Stalin put it, they get dizzy. And he had his famous article, Dizzy from Success. What actually Trump, Mr. Trump, he believes in his star. He believes in his mission, and he believes it's not accidental that it was a success, because he is this ordained with his priest just standing around him a few days ago, to win, win, and win, and always have a success. So they had a plan, and we all know what the plan was. It's very simple: to decapitate the leaders, and then everything would fall into place as it did in Syria. The country would disappear. It would split into rival parts, as in Libya and Syria, and then the Americans would come back to it and appoint the government. And then Trump is still talking about it. He would be the one to appoint the Ayatollah. And this is, of course, total nonsense. It's not going to happen. And let me explain why. Well, I have several videos on Iran and on Iranian history, and I'll put a link here for you to see if you're interested to see what it was like under the Shah, and then the overthrow of Mossadegh government in 1953. And I even have a video about the father of the overthrown Shah Mohammed, who tried to be a reformer in the first half of the 20th century. But essentially, in a nutshell, Iran is a much more sophisticated country than everybody thought it was, and they were getting ready. They were preparing for this for decades. And one of the best things they did for themselves is to build a system of tunnels and to put a lot of effort into development of missiles. And when I said in one of my videos that it was the Russians who helped them, somebody from Iran wrote to me and said, no. We did most of it ourselves. So they developed these very sophisticated missiles, and the best of them are with solid fuel, which means that they need minimal preparations, that they could be put on the truck, and the truck is undetectable and undistinguishable from any other truck, and it can move along the country, also on rails, and therefore they're extremely difficult to hit and to destroy. But that's not even the weaponry that is the most important. The most important is the decentralized power, that Ayatollah is not in control of everything, that the military is decentralized too, that they have a very sophisticated command and control system that cannot be decapitated. You kill those, then the new ones come. You cook those, and the new ones come. And as I also described at length in my preceding videos, the Shia religion with its cult of martyrdom and with its capacity to serve under adverse circumstances and suffer and prevail, that's not the kind of system that is very easy to bribe your way into. But the Israelis managed, and the murder of Ayatollah was, as we now know, a result of treason. Now, Mr. Trump is talking about the ground invasion. That's simply impossible. It's impossible because of the geography, because Iran borders on friendly Afghanistan on the eastern side. In the north, it is Azerbaijan that showed some, very restive behavior of Mr. Aliyev. But it is between Russia and Iran. And I don't think Aliyev would last much long if he did a move against Iran. I think both of them would take care of Aliyev very quickly. Now, Iraq, of course, has a Shia government, which actually, paradoxically, President Bush put into power. And the Kurds in the north had just declared their neutrality. In other words, to invade Iran, one would have to bring an army of at least the same one as in Iraq, which was 500,000. But that's not enough, because it's 3 times bigger. And an offensive against Iran may require 1.5 million. Well, that there is no army like this. Would take months and months and months for the United States to raise it and to bring it is even more difficult, because as soon as it would appear, it would be destroyed. Now, in the case of war against Iraq in 2003 and in 1991, it took half a year of unimpeded shipment of troops. Now, in our age, nobody's going to sit and wait until the Americans built a huge army in the satellites of theirs in the Arab world. And there's no guarantee that they would agree to it. So physical invasion is for all practical purposes impossible. Now, what they could do is just bomb and bomb and bomb. And they do it, and they did it in the past. And we know that in Vietnam War, the Americans bombed Vietnam nonstop with all kinds of carpet bombing and napalm and everything, and it didn't win the war. To win the war, you have to put the soldiers on the ground and overthrow the government and to create a new one. And that is not very likely to happen. For practical purposes, it is not possible. So, this is where we are now. Just a few words about Israel. If anybody is going to crack, it's not Iran, it's Israel. It is in flames. They've underestimated the capacity of Iranians to produce and respond in kind. As you probably know, the Israelis hit the place next to the Iranian nuclear reactor where they're building a electric power station, and the Iranians hit right back next to their reactor. There was a message, if you want to continue, that would probably be worse for you. The Israelis hit the oil refinery in Tehran, and within an hour, Haifa oil refinery was burning. So in this kind of exchange of missiles, Israel is 10 million, 9 million, and Iran is 90 million. And it would be Israel that would suffer incomparably more. Moreover, Iranians have nowhere to go, whereas Israelis do. And in the last war, 500,000 of them just decided to quit and leave. And we don't know how many of them would decide to do that now. So the way things are going, it is certainly not in favor of Israel and the United States. What may happen now is that Netanyahu would be forced to resign. He would be lucky if it's just resignation. He might be arrested and tried. And the Israelis, as they did in the 12-day war, will be pleading to ceasefire and stop this useless and unpardonable waste of human lives, now hitting not just Gaza, but themselves. What also some analysts point out is that the Arab street is getting to be quite proud about the Iranian hitting Israel. The Palestinians are ecstatic. They say this is a revenge for the suffering of the Palestinian people and for Gaza. And it would be extremely difficult for the leaders of the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia to be perceived as being on the side of Israel. Very, very difficult. So the more this war goes on, the less success Israel and the United States could show, and that may translate into losing in the elections in the United States and in Israel. And if their elections do not take place, there are other outcomes that are possible. And I don't want to outline those. We shall see. But definitely the future for Mr. Trump looks quite bleak, and even worse for Mr. Netanyahu. Thank you very much, and I invite you to look at my previous videos, especially on Iranian history, and of course my playlists on Russian history, and I invite you to look my book, From Vladimir Lenin to Vladimir Putin, and I love your comments, and I respond to all of them, but for now, goodbye.